All right, everyone. It is that time of the year again. It is Super Bowl week. Uh Last NFL week of the season, unfortunately, but always the most exciting. Uh Unfortunately, neither of our teams are in it this year, but we're looking for a
Shocker.
Dolphins Cowboys in 2024, Matt. Like we always say, Dodgers Yankees, maybe next year it's Cowboys Dolphins. We'll have to see. But for this year, it is going to be the Chiefs and the Eagles. So, lots to talk about here. We'll get into some discussions, predictions, all that good stuff. So, let's just kick it off right away, Matt. Um, I believe that the Vegas line has the Eagles favored by 1.5 points. So, Vegas is predicting a close one, 1.5 points, basically just a pick 'em, right? Uh, I think I all the people I've talked to, at least, it's been pretty split. I think it's probably like, I don't know, maybe I've asked 20 of my friends so far about this, and maybe like 11 or 12 had said Eagles and the rest had said Chiefs. So even
That's a
like
pretty
amongst
even
yeah,
split.
even amongst my friends, like I've heard a pretty even split there. Over under is 50. I don't know. Seems a little low, but you gotta take into effect all the injuries, stuff like that, which we will get into. But I guess we'll start off with each of our predictions and our score predictions. We got to do that again because I was perfect last year. So I got to see if I can
Okay, you
keep
gotta
it.
gloat again.
Yes, I'm gonna bring it up every Super Bowl. Every year we do this, I'm gonna bring it up. Um, but anyway, yeah, we gotta keep that thing going. I don't know. We might be a little bit split on this one. Kind of curious, but Matt, I'll give you the fanatic first crack at this. Um, who do you got?
Hmm. This is this is tough. So I'll keep it short in terms of why I think this team is gonna win. I think we'll probably get into this as we go along in the pod. But I gotta go, unfortunately, with the Eagles. I just think, I was thinking about this. I'm obviously cheering for the Chiefs, but I just think the Eagles are a more complete team. And if Jalen Hurts can continue to do what he's doing, taking care of the football, and if they're able to run the ball, I don't see how the Chiefs can stop them. As good as Chris Jones is, I feel like it's a one-man team on defense. And the Eagles, strong supporting cast around Hurts with the receivers, the strong offensive line, and then obviously the defense, they got playmakers on the back end. So yeah, I gotta go with the Eagles, unfortunately. I hope I'm wrong, but I got the Eagles, I would say 27-24 Eagles.
All right, pretty
So what
standard
is that?
score there.
51? Yeah, that's
51. It's gonna
right
be.
around the line.
I guarantee you, no matter what, it's gonna be around the line somehow, some way. It'll be
Yeah.
like within 3 points. They just know. Okay, so you got 27-24 Eagles. So I'm gonna go opposite direction. I'm gonna go with the Chiefs. Um, I'm predicting a close game as well, and for my reasons, I'll keep mine short for now as well. I have two reasons that I think the Chiefs are gonna win, and that is one, Andy Reid, two, Patrick Mahomes, right? And
Short
so
and sweet.
short and sweet. I say that though because I'm not gonna lie. If this was even last year when the Chiefs still had Tyreek Hill and it was this offense that's flying around and they had playmakers that were hurt, even questionable going into the Super Bowl, I would probably be leaning towards the Eagles. But like I've kind of said throughout this whole year, this is a different Kansas City Chiefs offense, right? That you lose a Pro Bowl, All Pro wide receiver in Tyreek Hill, and you pretty much don't skip a beat. I mean, numbers wise, right? As we've seen throughout these playoffs, their offense does look different. It's not the explosive plays, home run balls that are like just gashing you. right? And so I think if this is an older Kansas City team, they might struggle, just like we saw them struggle against the Bucks, right? In that Super Bowl. We saw the Bucks took away, the vertical threat. And I mean, honestly, Andy Reid in Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes didn't have an answer for that, right? Uh Tampa Bay shut them out, kept the ball out of their hands, and it was a pretty convincing Super Bowl win for the GOAT, who we're gonna get to later in this pod as well. But I think they've learned from that experience, and we've seen that throughout this year and throughout these playoffs, right? Leaning on the run game, Andy Reid. I don't think I've seen Andy Reid, at least in my recent memory, lean on the run in playoff games, crucial games, situations, like we have in the past, and even their special teams, right? Like Sky Moore had that big return, set up that you know eventual game-winning field goal by Butker. So this team just feels like more complete to me than in previous years, and I think that experience is gonna come around in the favor of Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. Whereas Jalen Hurts, yes, he's been great all year. Nick Sirianni's been great all year, but I think that experience factor just a little bit is going to be the difference in this one. So that's why I got the Chiefs. Uh, I'm also going to keep it close as well. I think it might even be uh a little bit closer than that. So you got
Hmm,
27-24.
closer. Okay.
I'm thinking like it's gonna be like a 2 point spread or something like ridiculous like that. So like I'm gonna give a weird one. I'm gonna say 26-24. Okay. I don't know how that's gonna hit.
I
I'm
think the
thinking
the
like
score from last year is just getting in your head now. You're getting a little too confident with
no,
these
okay.
picks.
Uh
This is a really
I'm
outside of the
just
box number.
okay because I'm thinking like I'm seeing like a missed PAT or something. Uh, and that's gonna be 26-24. Just so
I'm
I
so
can one up.
scared because you said that last year and you were so right. So I'm like,
Nah, I mean, okay, come on. Like as as proud as I am of that prediction last year, obviously needed a lot of luck going into that one. But I'm gonna stick with yeah, something I don't know, that 26-24 because it's gonna hit the exact 50 on the money on the over and or on the over underline 26-24. It's gonna just cover that 1.5 for the Chiefs and just break hearts of Eagles fans for that 1.5 line. I'm telling you, it's gonna I'm going with the Vegas pick this year. That's what I'm doing. So I'm putting my faith in Vegas and their algorithm or AI. Who knows what they use at this point? 26-24 Chiefs. Weird one, I know. That's what I'm calling. All right. So we got our predictions out of the way. Let's get a little bit more into the details here. So I guess key matchups. I kind of went over mine, but I have another one I wanted to get to. But I want to hear yours first. Like, who do you think, or what matchups do you think are going to be really key for determining this one?
I think from the Eagles' perspective, definitely their defensive line. If you look at their game last week against Cincinnati, the Kansas City O line dominated. Like Patrick Mahomes, for the most part, throughout the whole game, was untouched. The only time he was really touched was on the last play, and that was a flag. So I'm looking at the Eagles, Hassan Reddick, Fletcher Cox, guys like that, to almost take over in a sense. Kind of similar to what Tampa Bay did in, what was it, two Super Bowls ago? When they were able to dominate with Shaq Barrett, Vita Vea, just eat the Chiefs alive on the offensive side. So I'm looking for the Eagles to kind of generate some pressure if that's how they're going to win. Because that's really the only way you're going to beat the Chiefs. Can you get to Patrick Mahomes and make him uncomfortable? So that's kind of my key matchup. Then the other one is, I could say it's a key matchup, but the Eagles corners, James Bradbury, Darius Slay. Obviously, Darius Slay is an all pro corner this year. James Bradbury was all pro corner still playing at a high level. But I think one of those two got to make a play. They got to make a play on the ball, get an interception off of Mahomes, and really complement that defensive front and the pressure. So I'm really looking at a complete defensive unit, honestly, to really turn the tide in this game for me. But for the Chiefs standpoint, I guess my matchup that I'm looking for is very similar. I'm taking the Eagles corners. So who on the wide receiver side is going to be able to win one-on-one outside of Travis Kelce? McCole Hartman was already ruled out. He's on IR. He's gone. So they're down to Kadarius Toney,
I think
Marcus Kemp. I mean,
Kadarius Toney, Juju are both
or
still
Juju,
questionable. I think they're
right?
still
Yeah. So
questionable, so we don't even know if they're gonna play.
so let's just say Juju for the worst case, he's out. I don't think he will be, but you're down to maybe Sky Moore, Marcus Kemp,
MVS, like could be any one of these guys.
and against Bradbury and Slay. And now this is where I kind of think the loss of Tyreek Hill is gonna be missed because I feel like in the Super Bowl you always have some kind of big play that you just need. It's just that game, that magnitude. You need a big play splash, and I feel like the Chiefs eventually they gotta miss Tyreek Hill. Look at what I mean. I hate to bring it back to Dallas, but Dallas loses Amari Cooper. What have we said? Eventually, it's gonna bite them. So I'm looking at this game with a very complete defensive unit from the Eagles. This is that time where you're gonna need a big play from Tyreek Hill, and they're gonna miss him, I think. So I'm looking at the Eagles DBs versus the Chiefs wide receivers in this one.
Okay. I guess you kind of touched on them. I was going back and forth. I had a bunch of key matchups in my head that I thought. I mean, obviously every matchup is crucial, right? That's a no, like no duh. Um, I was thinking, obviously the trenches, both sides of the ball are gonna be important. Um, like you touched on the Eagles versus the wide receivers. But in my head, I kind of, as I was thinking about it, I I kind of think I already have a feeling of how both those matchups are gonna go. Uh, so I'll hit your first point. So both sides of the ball, right? The lines, both teams, right? I think at this point, it's been pretty established. Both teams have a pretty good line. I think offensive line wise, Chiefs and the Eagles, at least with talent and seems like chemistry, both teams offensive lines top in the league, I would say, right? Defensive line, I would probably give the slight nod to the Eagles, but I don't think Kansas City's line is a joke either with obviously Chris Jones, Frank Clark, right? And those guys. So I think overall it will be a pretty even matchup. Then like you said, the Kansas City wide receivers versus the Eagles secondaries. I think there will be one or two plays, like big plays there for, you know, both sides. There's gonna be a time where Patrick Mahomes is just gonna have to throw up a one-on-one ball. Um, kind of, you know, hope
Prayer
one of his
almost.
guys, yeah, hope one of his guys can make a play. And it's gonna come down to that. But to me, the key matchup I think is gonna be the Kansas City running backs. So the two running backs that we know for sure are going to play. I know they activated Clyde off the injury reserve. We'll see how good he is to go. But assuming he might even be the third string running back with how McKinnon and Pacheco have looked, right? Kind of throughout this late stretch and going into the postseason. So my matchup is going to be the Kansas City backfield versus the Eagles linebackers. Um, I think it's gonna be it's gonna come down to who can make the play. Like as I said earlier, right? Patrick Mahomes been taking a lot more checkdowns, throwing a lot more of these running back screens than we're kind of used to seeing from the Kansas City Chiefs offense. It's usually so explosive, and he checks it down a lot. He likes McKinnon. And I'll even say like Pacheco when he gets the ball up to the second level. We saw it against the Cincinnati Bengals. Um, he made one of you know towards the end of the game, he had one really big first down run where he broke two of the uh Bengals linebackers like would be tackles because he just runs hard. And so I think those that matchup is gonna really be the tipping point. It's gonna be can the Kansas City guys make the play in the open field, or are the Eagles linebackers could we be able to make the tackle in space? Things could happen on a key third down, fourth down, later in the game, and I think that's the marquee matchup I'm going to look at. So, Kansas City running backs, Eagles linebackers. We'll see who wins that battle. That's what I got for that one. Um, okay, X Factor. This is always a fun one. X Factor both teams. You can only pick one on each team.
Okay.
Either side of the ball. Only one per team. So who you got?
Okay, I'll start with the Eagles. So maybe a common name, but I think he's important in this game. But Miles Sanders. I think Miles Sanders needs to have a big game in this one. Obviously, Jalen Hurts, the show runs through him on offense, but I feel like if Miles Sanders has a good game, the Eagles are going to win because that means they're controlling the clock, they're controlling the run game, and they're keeping Patrick Mahomes on the sideline. And kind of what I say about Jalen Hurts, at least throughout this year, was I don't trust him. I haven't seen him yet in a big game make a big drive to win the game. And if that's the case, that means Miles Sanders, the run game is non-existent, and Jalen Hurts is just going to have to throw, throw, throw. And if you're the Chiefs, that's exactly what you want. So for the Eagles, they got to get Miles Sanders going. And I think if they do, they'll be in a great position to win. Now, for the Chiefs, this is probably a little bit more of an X factor, but I got to go with Frank Clark, the defensive end. I think with the Chiefs defense obviously being the weaker of the units, and everybody now knows who Chris Jones is. Maybe outside of Aaron Donald, he's probably the best D tackle in football. You could even say he is the best D tackle in football, even with Aaron Donald's play this year. So you know that he's going to demand a lot of attention. So I need a guy who's going to win one-on-ones because he's going to get double teamed. If Frank Clark, the veteran who's won a Super Bowl before with Seattle, been in big, or actually even Kansas City too, been in big playoff games before, I need him to be that secondary rusher, kind of like last year with the Rams. You know, Aaron Donald is the man. Who's that next guy? Von Miller. So I need Frank Clark for the Chiefs to play that Von Miller-esque role. And I think if those two guys can obviously generate pressure, it's going to be a rough day for any quarterback, even with Jalen Hurts' legs. But I think Miles Sanders for the Eagles and Frank Clark for the Chiefs are my two X factors.
Okay, those are good ones. Mine's my I'm really trying to keep it X factor here, like real some real spice. I guess I thought they were really spicy ones, but I guess we'll have
My
to
Miles
see.
Sanders one wasn't too spicy,
Yeah,
but I
that one
think
wasn't too spicy.
I
Okay,
think he's
obviously,
really
yeah,
important.
he's really important. I'm gonna go with, well, at least for my Eagles pick, maybe a little, also not a huge splash name, but I think people don't see him as valuable as Miles Sanders. I'm gonna go with Devontae Smith for the Eagles. So
He's a
obviously,
bigger name than Miles Sanders.
oh no way, Miles
Yes,
Sanders is
he
RB
is.
one. He's RB1.
Oh, but Devontae, I feel like everybody knows Devontae more
Okay,
than
but
Miles Sanders.
Obviously AJ Brown is wide receiver one, right? And Miles Sanders is RB1 in a run first offense. Okay, yeah, he's the highest.
Jalen Hurts is RB1 and QB1.
Okay, well, anyway, I'm gonna go with Devontae Smith here
Okay.
because I think it's gonna come down to the Chiefs taking away AJ Brown, right? And with a stacked box, which I'm gonna assume at least we're gonna see in the first half, right? Really try to establish that you cannot run on us. hopefully, and they're gonna hope they abandon the run. But I think the first point for the Kansas City defense should be to stop the run, right? Obviously. And so that's going to leave the one-on-one matchups. If you go single high safety, I think the safety would lean a little bit more towards AJ Brown's side. That's just my opinion. If I was a defense, I would try to cover AJ Brown, give him some help. So to me, it's going to be Devontae Smith. Can he make the big catch or, you know, big play? That's going to give this team the chunk plays that it needs. Third down conversions, things like that. I think he's their best third down receiver. I know I like Dallas Goedert a lot, right? But he gets a lot of attention as well. I was kind of between actually Goddard and Devontae Smith there. It was pretty close. But I think Devontae Smith, he's gonna have more chances than Dallas Goddard. So can the Heisman winner show up? I mean, we know what he does in the national championship game. I want to see if he can show up in the I guess you could say bigger because it's the professional one, the biggest championship game probably of his career. So I want to see Devontae Smith, see what he can do with the opportunity he's given. And on the Chiefs side, it's kind of hard because I wanted to go with like Juju, but I don't even know if he's gonna play, right?
Marcus Kemp.
I mean, I would love to say Marcus Kemp, but he's still not even on the depth chart, I think, at this point, right? Uh, so mine is gonna be a little spicy here. Um, just like we saw in the Bengals game, I think it's gonna be special teams. So if Sky Moore, whoever's the returner, Sky Moore,
Sky Moore.
Kadarius Toney, whoever they're gonna put back there, that to me is the X factor because we know what we're gonna get out of the offense. The defense, I wouldn't put enough faith. I don't know the secondary as well as maybe I should. To pick one guy for me. So I'm gonna go with the special teams. The special teams returner. If they can get one or two, at least even just one like 20-25 yard return like we saw in that AFC championship game, then I think that could and might make all the difference in this game. So my X factor, I'll just say Sky Moore. I'm assuming it's gonna be him. He was out there, made the big
Yeah,
play.
probably.
So I'm gonna go with Sky Moore on special teams. That's my X factor. Real
Okay, yeah,
X.
that's
That's a real
really
X
spicy.
factor
Okay,
one.
yeah.
I'm going for it here. But okay, we got those out of the way. Last one. I mean, nothing too much here, but MVP predictions. You're gonna have to pick an Eagles guy. I'll pick a Chiefs guy. But this one's pretty. I mean, come on.
Well, obviously, I'm gonna say Hurts, and then you'll say Mahomes.
Yes, it's a
Let's just
quarterback.
say non-quarterback.
Okay.
Make it a little spicy.
If it was gonna be not one of the quarterbacks, who are we picking?
Yeah,
Okay, I like
yeah.
that. Okay.
So okay, I'll pick since I picked the Eagles to win. I'll say it from that perspective.
Yeah.
So kind of between two guys for me, but I'm gonna have to pick one of the guys you mentioned, Devontae Smith.
Wow.
We saw a receiver win last year in Cooper Cup. So I look at it from the exact standpoint that you mentioned. AJ Brown is gonna get all the attention. I think Devontae Smith is gonna have a big game. 100 yards and a touchdown. Book it. I just
Wow.
think we saw, but like I know it's the Super Bowl and the NFL is a different stage, but this dude played at Alabama. He's been in the biggest moments in college football, and he's delivered. He caught the walk-off touchdown, won 2 national championships. I mean, had 200 yards receiving in his
Dominated
last game,
Ohio
like
State.
just literally killed Ohio State. So I know he can play in the big moments. And he's got a national championship winning quarterback, Jalen Hurts, his old teammate. So I'm looking for that Alabama magic to come back. But to the point of AJ Brown, I think they're going to take him away. You can't let him beat you. So I'm going to ask Devontae to carry the load. I think it's his time. And he's gonna win it for sure. if it's not Jalen Hurts, because I think Jalen Hurts is going to win it if they win. But I'll
Okay.
say Devontae Smith as a non-quarterback.
Ooh, this is gonna be a little hard for me. Um, but I'll go with kind of the theme that I've been going on. With the maybe nah, it's not that spicy. I'll go defense though. I'll go Chris Jones. I think um if we see a possible two sack, like two tackle for loss with one big like forced fumble,
Like
that's
the Von
reminds
Miller
me that
kind.
I was just about to
Yeah.
say it reminds me exactly of the Von Miller year. I'm a little hesitant though because obviously you got Jason Kelsey up there. Um, that whole
Lane
line,
Johnson.
Lane Johnson, Dickerson, right? Those guys are all studs. So I'm a little hesitant, but Chris Jones has just been unstoppable this whole playoff run. And I'll tip my hat to Chris Jones. It was between him or Kelsey, but nah. I'll show Chris Jones some love. I got Chris Jones, Super Bowl MVP. The
All
surprise
right.
one.
I like that. I will say before we end this, my two guys I was tinkering with was Devontae Smith and Hassan Reddick from the defensive standpoint
I also was
because the
gonna
pass
say,
rush too.
yeah,
So I
Hassan
was
Reddick
debating
wouldn't be
between those
surprising.
two.
Okay, well, we will see. We'll check back in next week. It's gonna be a fun pod. Last NFL one of the season. So let's transition over. We can do a quick Pro Bowl thing. I guess just thoughts. I mean, I watched the highlights, I guess we want to call it that. Um, but you know what? I gotta admit, it's better than the game. Like the game last year, just completely unwatchable to me. Uh, I think this was a good starting place for the NFL. I thought the flag football game, that's always entertaining, right? Because they're still athletes, they're still athletic, they can still make moves. They don't gotta hit each other though. Except Jalen Ramsey accidentally laid out Tyreek. Uh, but it's still watching the best go up against the best. It's a different way, but I thought it was pretty entertaining for the most part. Going back to the other games, I thought some are better than others, right? I think like the relay ones to me are kind of that's just how I feel personally. I like the dodgeball, I guess. Dodgeball's pretty entertaining because it's fast, it's quick paced, action like constant action, or even like the precision passing, I don't mind because it's like it's a quick thing. You're not watching like a whole thing. And I thought the best catch was not bad. But if I must say one thing that I want them to add, like really badly, is like just straight one-on-ones. Like because like they get so heated.
Hmm,
Like, I
that's
don't
a
know
good
if
one.
do you watch like Destroying? Like the YouTuber Destroying? That's like what he's famous for, right? I think you bring him in next year, bring him in, like have him facilitate kind of that one-on-ones, like best corners, DBs. You can even say linebackers, like bring the linebackers in, tight ends in, running backs, whoever wants to go, just straight one-on-ones and have like a one-on-one matchup, I guess. And then whichever side wins the most one-on-ones, uh, wins whatever points or whatever. So that's the only thing I'll say. I really want to see that
I
because
like that.
like even in the off season, right? People will upload YouTube highlights and stuff. And you get to see like, it's a pride thing too at that point, right? Like you want to see Stephon against Trayvon, right? How great would that matchup be in the Pro Bowl, right? Those two going at it, bragging rights on the line. Like the one, like you could even do like a king of the court thing. I don't know, however you want to do it, right? Like in basketball, like one-on-one king of the court, whatever you want to do. NFL, listen to me right now. I'm gonna post this clip. Matt will post this clip. Someone will post this clip. I'm gonna tag NFL destroying whoever it is. They'll get the ball going. So I just wanted to add that in. I want the one-on-ones.
Okay, that's a good one. I actually didn't really think about that, but you tell them. You tell them. But I kind of like the Pro Bowl games. I thought the flag football game was pretty good. Um, I kind of, at least for the game part, two things I kind of didn't like. So I guess the first one was I don't like the fact that they had three games. I don't know if that's just me. Just have one big game. Like
Yeah, that
make it
was
longer.
I don't
Like
know.
I didn't quite understand that. Um, you
Because
know,
each quarterback maybe, right,
yeah,
gets
but I
the
mean, they
just have
can
three
manage that.
halves then, or
Yeah.
three thirds, or three set whatever, like
No, but you
three
can play like
periods or something. Yeah.
two halves, but I mean, whether who's the Peyton or Eli, right, as the coaches, they'll manage it accordingly and they'll get them in for the right amount of time. But I would say that would probably be my first issue. And then the second thing, I kind of wanted to see more line, like it was a lot of, linebackers, receivers, like the skill position players. Where's the love for the big guys up front? Like the center just snaps the ball, just stands there. Like kind of boring. Like I
Yeah,
don't
let
know.
them
Like
run
in
some
in
routes or
flag foot
something.
in flag football, like you can block and you can rush too. Like you're not tackling the guy, but
No,
you
I
can.
think you let them run routes. I think that'd be even more fun.
Or yeah, like anything. Like get them on the field too. Like don't just have one center snap the ball and have them do nothing. Like that's kind of boring. So I don't know.
Yeah, those
Maybe
guys worked hard. No, I'm with
I
you.
think I think you got to get those guys involved. But the overall game, I mean, it's so much better than last year for sure. But I think for me, the games really outside of dodgeball, I don't watch too much of it. The dodgeball thing is fun because you get to see, Jarvis Landry in previous Pro Bowls like just dominate. So it's kind of weird how a lot of these guys can't throw a dodgeball, considering how athletic they are. So, just baseball
That
players are
doesn't
just
surprise me at
they're
all.
just so talented, right? We can
Yeah.
throw a ball. Yeah. Even the
Um,
most skilled athletes can't throw a ball. But yeah, really outside of the dodgeball, I wasn't not a really big fan of the other games, but I did like the flag football intensity of it, at least. Especially with Peyton getting heated up at the end of the game with the rules. So I think that that's good for the NFL and a good start for them, at least, to get this game back on track.
yeah, I agree. It's a good start. We'll see. Hopefully they can improve it from here. Okay, well, let's wrap up our pretty much our football segment here with topic we need to talk about because he, has meant so much to the game, obviously impacted both of us greatly throughout our child into adulthood. So we're talking about the football GOAT. I think it's kind of safe to say 7 rings, best possibly one of the best quarterbacks of all time, Mr. Tom Brady. So he finally retired. Uh, Matt, seems like this time it's for good, and I'm gonna assume it is. It kind of looked like, you know, the signs are pointing to that all season. And first, I mean, just congrats, right? Congrats to Tom. Great career. I don't think anyone will catch 7 rings. That would be just absolutely ridiculous. I really don't. Um, so congrats, Tom. Just gotta say, you really turned me as a fan because I am a Peyton guy and I have been my whole life. So I hated you, but the hate had to turn to respect. So it turned into respect, and I admired you for what you did. So that's my little spiel to you, Tom.
Yeah, I mean, funny how we did this a year ago. So really, it's really kind of awkward because everyone is kind of saying, "Oh, they're not going to say that much because they already said it 1 year ago." So I think we'll keep it in that boat. But
Yeah,
I mean, to me, he is my favorite quarterback of all time. I don't know if anyone will be. Maybe whoever wins the Super Bowl for Dallas next will be my favorite quarterback, but who
Cooper
knows on that?
Rush.
Who the? Oh, yeah, I know. Come on, but I mean, Tom Brady, he's the GOAT in my opinion. He always was ever since he got, I would say five rings was when he was really established as the GOAT. And I always remember this, especially with you, because we were watching that Super Bowl, the Atlanta Super Bowl, and everyone was laughing at me. And I said, just wait, Tom Brady, don't count him out. And 28-3 later, yeah. That was funny because I know you were cheering for Matt Ryan at the time. You were
Well,
really
I
pulling for
I'm
him.
a Julio
So
Jones
I
guy.
that
Okay,
was like
I'm
my favorite memory of
I've
Tom Brady.
always been a Julio Jones guy, and it's still not even his fault they lost the game. Because if it wasn't for that stupid lucky Edelman catch, Julio Jones would have one of the iconic catches in Super Bowl history. But now everyone forgets that one because of the BS Julian Edelman tip ball.
It
Should have
wasn't
been a
BS. That's a great play.
should have been a pick, first of
That
all.
was a great play
Second
on
of
the
all,
ball by Edelman.
well, it should have been a great play on the ball by the Atlanta DB. We both know that. Anyway, getting off topic. Yes, Tom, give you your flowers. Go enjoy retirement for a little bit. Go be with the family. Make it your life is already a movie, Tom, right? I think they have that 80 for Brady movie out. I don't even know what it's really about, but I know they got a movie out for you right now. Your story's still going. Uh, I think how crazy would it be, right? He's done the football side of his movie now, and to really bring home the whole life thing, it's like he rekindles his, you know, uh, like with the kids, and it's like, oh, he's hanging out with Giselle a lot now. Hey,
Oh,
man,
God.
I'm tell you want to say the NFL is scripted? Tell me Tom Brady's life isn't scripted, right? Like you have the underdog story out of college. The behind Drew Bledsoe. Oh, he gets hurt. Oh, now he's the dynasty. Oh, deflate gate. Oh, perfect season. His career's had everything, right? Is it the coach? Was it Belichick the whole time? He moves. He wins another one, right? With Tampa Bay of all places. Like his life's already a movie. I don't see why it can't keep being a movie. I don't know, Matt. I, obviously I know nothing about him and Giselle, but I'm just saying the script is not finished yet on Mr. Brady's life. He is the
So,
main character. So
so are we saying that by the end of 2023, he's getting back with
no,
Giselle?
no, no. It might not be that
Oh,
soon.
oh,
I'm just
okay.
saying he might only we think his movie's almost done. Maybe he's only halfway done with his movie. You know? That's all I'm gonna say. So
Well, he's got to start his broadcasting career in 2024.
yeah,
So that's another chapter.
yeah. Exactly. See? Who knows? Um But congrats, Tom. Enjoy retirement. Go chill for a while, play some golf, do whatever it is. Uh, he's like modeling in his underwear now. Like, I mean, you
The
go
Brady
enjoy the
brand.
life. Go TB12, Brady brand, all that good stuff. Um, okay, well, we didn't really have time to get to your new Dallas OC. Do you want us to talk about that today?
Yeah, because I don't really need much. Because
Okay,
Brian Schottenheimer, I'll just say it, was named the Dallas OC. And truthfully, kind of was expected in-house hire, of course, because that's what the Joneses do. Everything is about family with them. But I don't really have anything to say because he's not calling plays. This is Mike McCarthy. So I don't even see Brian Schottenheimer as the OC. Mike McCarthy is my OC and my head coach now. So it's in his court now. So all I can
Aaron
say is
Rodgers
Mike,
did win an MVP.
hey, and if Aaron
The
Rodgers wants to come to
Coda Rain.
Dallas,
Oh,
we can send Dak Prescott, shoot him into the tundra. I don't
nah,
care.
he's
Just
going
get him
to
out of there.
Vegas, man. Wrong desert he's going to. Come on.
Oh, and then we'll trade for Devontae too.
Hmm. All right. Well,
Anyway,
wait. All I'm saying is, if Rogers ends up in Vegas, Derek Carr's gonna need someplace to
no,
go.
no, 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 no,
Nah, I'm just kidding.
no.
Okay. Well, we'll see how that works out for you next season. We can talk about it more in the off season. But that was a good NFL segment, Matt. Let's get to a quick break here, and we'll finally talk about the NBA again. So stay tuned. Okay, so finally some in-depth basketball talk for everyone that listens for basketball, I guess. Um, we'll start with the All-Star game first. Now that, the reserves are out, we will not be doing our draft yet because there are some injuries. Uh, Still might be some replacements amongst or I guess additions, I should say, amongst the reserves. So let's get right into it. We kind of discussed the starters. we had the Zion thing. It's probably one of our biggest question marks that we had. Uh, so I guess we can get to it. I'll just run off the list super fast here. We got Bam, Jalen Brown, DeMar, Joel Embiid, Paul George, Shea, Tyrese Halliburton, Drew Holiday, Jaren Jackson Jr., Dame, Laurie Markkinen, Ja, Julius Randle, and Domantas Sabonis. So I guess we'll say first, before we get to the snubs, surprises, Matt, for you? You had any surprise players pop up on this list?
Ooh, I would say for the East, just off the top of my eye, Drew Holiday. I like Drew Holiday. He's a great player, but to me, he's more of a defensive player. And typically, guys like that don't get the nod in an offensive league. Um, like off the top of my head, Trey Young, James Harden, offensive guards. So I like that Drew Holiday's in because I like defense, but definitely shocked that he beat out, some offensive guards there. And then at least for the West, I would probably say Jaren Jackson Jr. Kind of really didn't see where that one came from. I know he leads the league, or at least in the West in blocks. I know him and Nick Claxton are up there, but yeah, again, defensive player for the most part. So shocked that he got in at least in the West for me.
Yeah, so I mean, I was gonna agree with you, both of them. Um, I was just happy to see, Tyrese Halliburton in there, Laurie Markkinen, Sabonis, like guys we were talking about. Um, I guess yeah, the surprise for me, Drew Holiday, just because he hasn't put up like the scoring numbers that you typically would expect. Like you said, a James Harden, a Trey Young, maybe, even a Jalen
And
Brunson,
Jimmy, well, that's a good one too. Jimmy
Jimmy
Butler.
Butler as well. Guys we're kind of used to seeing in the All Star game. Um, and then for me in the West, I guess I mean Jaren Jackson Jr. is averaging 3 blocks a game, which is ridiculous. So I mean, gotta give him credit for that. My thing though is if you're gonna have Zion as a starter, right? Uh, how is Anthony Davis not gonna be a reserve? Like that is my question. So obviously he got injured, but what people might not know is he like has basically the same amount of games played as Zion. So I mean he's putting up like what are his numbers right now? I think he was averaging 28 and 12 with 2 blocks at the start of the season. So I don't know how numbers like that don't get you in when Zion is making it. That's just me as a Lakers fan. Like, okay, guys, what's going on here, right? Um, but snubs, I guess. My big one, Jalen Brunson. I feel like deserves it. I want to see him get in. Um, that was my big one from the East. Him or Jimmy. That was close between those two guys. But I'm glad to see Bam got in. Yeah. So I had Jalen Brunson, and then from the I guess I said mine Anthony Davis. So those are my snubs.
Davis. Okay. So I guess for me, for the East, kind of a familiar name in the All-Star game, but James Harden. I was shocked that James Harden didn't get in. Definitely, at least from an All-Star game perspective, would like to see him in over Drew Holiday. Obviously, just a little more flashy. And he's been putting up some pretty good numbers this year. And with the way that he's playing with Embiid, he's got Philly right in the thick of things at the top. I think they're third in the East right now, a couple of games back from first from Boston. So they're right in it. They're right in it. And I think it's great to see James Harden finally getting some kind of rhythm in Philly. But yet again, it always matters what it comes down to in the postseason. But right now, James Harden's been playing pretty well. So definitely think he got snubbed there. And for the West, yeah, this one was tough, but probably De'Aaron Fox for me. Kind of the same reasons. Who in the world thought the Kings would be in the playoffs where they are right now? Obviously, Domantas Sabonis, he's in, well deserved. I don't think anybody's going to dispute that. But De'Aaron Fox, man, he was kind of the I guess you could say the corner piece or the cornerstone player that kind of just started everything leading up to this season. So definitely would have liked to see him get in and get that recognition. So I guess we can kind of transition to that, but I feel like he would get in based on some injuries, but initial thoughts were he should have got in, especially over Jaren Jackson. No offense to him, but offense versus defense in an all-star game is a pretty big deal to me.
Yeah. Actually, okay, wait, I lied. I'm gonna change my answer from Jalen Brunson. I forgot.
Okay.
Pascal Siakam should be in the All-Star game. So I really know this because he is my absolute stud in fantasy basketball. All right. I took him and he's a power forward slash center, at least on ESPN. So you can play him as a center, and doing that is like absolutely amazing. I just gotta say, this dude is averaging pretty much 25 points a game, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. Like, how are those not all-star caliber numbers? 25, 8, and 6. Are you kidding me? Um, yeah, I do think Jalen Brunson got snubbed. He would be close, but I forgot my guy, Pascal Siakam. I think he should be in the All-Star game. So just want to change my answer real quick there. And I guess we can talk about it. The replacement for Steph. I could see De'Aaron Fox. It could be him. It could be Ant, right? Anthony
Anthony Edwards
Edwards also having a great
or
year.
or AD.
Or AD. Um, Devin Booker probably was hurt too
I think
much.
yeah, he was out way too long. But you could
Yeah,
say I guess you could say the same about AD too.
yeah.
But at least he's back. Actually, Booker's coming back tomorrow. He's on my fantasy team.
So a lot of
But
options. I won't be upset about whoever gets this pick. Probably I still would lean a little bit more De'Aaron Fox just for the story of the Kings this year. So
yeah, me
I'll
too.
give it to him.
I guess on the top of that, so with Steph being a starter, somebody's got to replace him. So Dame,
Ooh,
Can Dame finally start an All-Star
it
game
should
after
be
being
Dame.
in the
It's
shadow of Steph
it's gotta
Curry?
be either Dame or Shea, right? Like out of the guards. I maybe even Jaw though. I mean Jaw brings the hype. Um I
We've
I
never
mean
seen Dame start. That's the thing. It's
I
like
would
just
love to see Dame start.
one
And you know what he
time, just
should?
one time.
He is back to back Western Conference Players of the Week.
True
I
that.
think he averaged like 40 points last week. Um like he's on an absolute heater right now. I know they lost
Yeah, he's
tonight,
hitting logo
but
threes today.
yeah, like they still run through him. So guess we'll have to see. But I would love to see Dame as a starter. I think he deserves it. And I think LeBron or Giannis would love to have Dame time on their team. Right. So uh I guess we'll see.
We'll see when we draft our teams.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get to some other stuff. So obviously the trades we got to talk about. Let's talk about the big trade right off the bat, right? So it was announced, I believe it was this weekend, that Kyrie had requested a trade. You want to say shocking, right? I want to say it was shocking, but it's Kyrie. Um, he's been kind of everywhere, I guess, in the East now, right? Um, just kind of making waves outside of basketball. Already sounded like him and the ownership didn't get along, right? So shocking, yes. Surprise, no. Maybe that's the word to use, or the phrasing to use there. Um, I'm just bummed that the Lakers couldn't get him because I knew that not only did obviously LeBron want to come to LA, but I knew Kyrie wanted to come to LA too, right? Like he was. I don't think he has anything against KD. I think those two are still gonna be tight, like they always are. But he's like ready to win, and I think LeBron is willing to accept that he needs Kyrie and Kyrie needs LeBron. Um, so I don't know. I was just bummed First of all, that he went to Dallas and not to the Lakers, because I mean, I think we would have been guaranteed playoff team. I don't want to say finals or anything like that. It's anything crazy, but we got Kyrie, man. Him, LeBron, and AD. Oh my, like we have a guy who wants and will take the big shot late in games. Nothing against LeBron, obviously, but he's older in his career. He gets a little more gassed. AD a little bit more fragile, and you know he's still coming back. But Kyrie, he's made for the moment. He's literally hit one of the most famous shots in NBA history, right? So I thought it would have been a match made in heaven. Kyrie in LA too, with that LA media, would have been great. I don't know who they would have to give up to get him, but man, I wish they did. But we'd probably have like 5 starters, and that's it. Zero draft picks for the
Maybe
next
maybe
ten
we can
years
try
or
out for the
something.
Lakers. We
Yeah,
would be on the bench at that point.
yeah. It would be like they'd have to get like Mac McClung, bring up all like Scottie Pippen Jr. All the G League guys would have to be on the roster. But I don't know. Well, I guess let's talk about the trade itself, right? So, if you're Dallas, first of all, what did you think about the Dallas side of the trade?
Hmm. This this is tough because I can see it from two perspectives. So obviously Kyrie and Luca, like just as individuals, probably you could argue one of the top, at least top five most explosive players in the league, one on one. They can win any matchup, any given time. But I'm thinking of it from the perspective of how they play. So both of them are very ball dominant players. And more in the terms for Luca, honestly, because Kyrie's played with LeBron, knows how to play off the ball, played with KD, right? He can share it. But how is Luca gonna respond? Because Luca has always been the guy. He's always had the ball in his hands. He can literally do whatever he wants. It's his team. But now he's got to give some of that load to Kyrie. And is there going to be a lot of, I want the ball. No, give me the ball. Like, I need to see some kind of chemistry. And, to kind of pull this off in the middle of the season, when for the most part, Dallas has been pretty well, right? Look at the guys that they traded. Spencer Dinwiddie. I think he fit pretty well with Dallas. He's obviously not Kyrie as a talent, but could he give Luca a little breather off the ball from time to time? Yeah, I think so. Dorian Finney-Smith, 3-and-D guy, exactly what you want. You know, a defending wing who can shoot threes. Exactly what playoff teams want. So I don't know. I really don't know. I would have to lean more on the side. I know guys are like, yes, this is gonna make them finals bound. I would pump the brakes on that a little bit because I really don't trust and I don't know how Luca is gonna handle being able to play off the ball a lot because that can take him out of his rhythm too. So I look at it from that perspective, and you gain Kyrie, but you lose a tough wing defender. And in the playoffs, you gotta get stops. Gotta get stops. So I don't know. I don't like. I'm not a huge like wow with this trade for Dallas.
Well, I'll be a little more um what is the word I'm looking for here? Not direct, but I'm just gonna say that I think this was not a good trade for Dallas. Like if I'm just
Yeah,
gonna
I was trying to
be,
be somewhat nice, but
yeah,
yeah,
no, I'll
okay.
just say, and this has nothing to do with like the off the court stuff. Like that is it is what it is, right? You know what you're gonna get with Kyrie, right? That's just how it is. Mark Cuban's a smart guy. He wouldn't push the button on this trade, right? If he didn't think he could either talk to Kyrie or manage him, whatever word you want to use. I'm not bringing the any off the court stuff into this. Uh, I'll talk on the court first. So I don't like what that they gave up Dinwiddie and Dorian Finney-Smith. First of all, like you said, 3-and-D. guys, 3D wing defenders. I love those types of players. I think they're important players, guys that are unselfish as well, but willing to take a shot when they're open and can, rebound, play gritty. I'll always come back and say this: the 2018 Blazers, right? Western Conference uh finals making Blazers had the guys, Mo Harkless, Alfred Kuminu, right? The guys that were key role players in that run. And so I think there's always going to be a need for players like that, and Dorian Finney-Smith is one of those guys, right? So you lose that, right? You're already not a great defensive team if, being Dallas, and now you lose one of your better defensive players, and you lose Spencer Dinwiddie, who can give you 25 minutes off the bench, what set like 16 to 18 points, right? With
He can get hot this way.
Yeah, and he can get hot. Throw in what 4 or 5 assists in there. Um, Another one of my fantasy guys, by the way. So, I mean, my fantasy team is just. Maybe we can talk about this later, but um, he's averaging what 17 points, 5 assists a game in about like 35 minutes. I don't know if that's the kind of role he's gonna get in Brooklyn. We'll have to see. He might get those same numbers. If I'm being honest. So key guy that they're losing, and chemistry on the court, right? And like you said, I think it's going to be a big factor how they run their offense, because they are Luka centric, and it works for the most part, right? They've been doing pretty well. So to throw a cog like Kyrie, a talent like Kyrie, straight into that mix, I'd be very surprised if they can get it to work at first. And as much as it is going to be on Luka, it is going to be on Kyrie to be unselfish and be willing to give up the ball sometimes. I'm looking at Jason Kidd. So being the point guard that you are, having the pedigree that you have, can you figure out a way to manage the two egos on the court, get these guys to buy into a system that works? Because the system has been Luka, but it can't just be Luka now. You have a all-star starting caliber point guard in Kyrie Irving joining the team. If even if Kyrie was a 2 or a 3, right? Um, or Luka wasn't such a true point guard, you wouldn't have as big of a problem. If like Luka was more like LeBron, who can play off ball kind of, Luka needs the ball in his hands. So I don't like, if I'm being frank, I don't know how it works um in Dallas. I'm gonna have to see it to believe it, because I think they got worse defensively, and there's only one ball, so I don't know how their offense is gonna go based off that. Like, is Kyrie really gonna be okay playing off ball? Uh, I guess we'll have to see, right? Um,
It only worked with LeBron. Let me
yeah,
say that.
right. I mean, they had Harden, KD, and Kyrie, and they played what, like, less than 10 games together. Something ridiculous, right? Like, I forgot what it was, but I don't know. We'll have to see. So yeah, I'll go with Brooklyn winning the trade. I don't know. You still got Brooklyn? I think Dallas won.
I would say, I mean, I think Dallas won. They got the better player, but does it put them in like the finals? Probably not to me. I really don't see it. I just think this kind of trade, you're gonna need time to develop chemistry, and you're already over halfway through the season. So to just fix everything and click just like that, it's hard. I mean, look at the old big three with LeBron, D Wade, Chris Bosh. They didn't just, oh yeah, we're all friends. It's gonna be kumbaya. It's gonna be great. No, it took them about a quarter to half the season to really find their stride in that first year. So, and that's those guys like LeBron,
Yeah, they were our
D Wade,
friends.
all team players for the most part. Friends. Luca, Kyrie. I don't know about
Both
their
kind of
personalities.
alphas,
Yeah,
need the ball, want the ball. And they both deserve the ball. Like, if we're being honest, like, that I would give both those guys the ball. I trust both those guys. Those are probably two of the top 5 guys I would trust to take a last second shot in this league.
yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see how it works out. Um, I guess we can get to your point here. We got some time. The KD, Kyrie, and James Harden thing. Um, biggest Your biggest failure as a trio. I mean, it's gotta be, right? Like
They had so much hype
they
and it
didn't
just
even
they did
play
nothing.
together.
Exactly.
But I I don't want to say I'm surprised because I don't really know these guys, right? Obviously, I don't know their personality, but what I've seen from the media, what I've seen from social media, interviews, things like that, I think I wish I could remember what I said when this trade was made, but it's easily could be argued it's they were more talented than the Miami Big Three, right? I mean, like
From an individual
from an
standpoint.
individual standpoint, um, like you replace Kyrie with Russ, like oh my, right? You think, wow, how can that not work? But it must be off the court stuff, play style, and that's the thing that concerns me about this Dallas thing, right? KD is fine. He played in Golden State off ball, but gets the ball when he needs to. Kyrie and James Harden, I think I've said this on the pod. I've said it before. I don't know if I've officially said it on the pod, but I think I have. Luca to me is like right-handed James Harden, right? Like not the most athletic guys. Um, they can kind of surprise you with their speed, but they're both more crafty, right? They both have the step back in their arsenal, right? It's they have this weird pace that they play at. They're not gonna blow you by, but they can get to the hole, get fouled. Um, so um, I've always thought at least Luca and James Harden like right-handed, left-handed versions of each other. Obviously the build is a little bit different, right? But like their game to me is very similar, and the offenses that they typically run have been very similar. So I guess we'll have to see how it works out. But I still think Brooklyn won this trade. You get the plus in the chemistry. The overall might go down a little bit, but you get what like plus 15 in the chemistry. Dinwiddie goes back to Brooklyn already, one of the beloved Nets. I think Brooklyn wins this. KD can go back to being the alpha that he is. They got good role players. Nick Claxton, having a great defensive year, potential defensive player of the year, by the way. So they got guys. If they can be healthy, and let's not forget Ben Simmons, right? Maybe we can see a little bit of return to the old Ben Simmons. Uh, I guess we'll have to see, but I think Brooklyn won this. So anyway, while we're sticking on basketball, we talked about one GOAT. Let's talk about another one of the GOATs in basketball. That's LeBron. So he is 36 points away. So he's definitely breaking the record in this homestand, right? Um,
At least by Thursday.
so he's got two games, right, at home, at against the Thunder and then against the Giannis. I think he's gonna do it next game, Matt. I don't know. I think um but I don't know which one I want more, right? Because if it's the Thunder game, he has to score 36 points or 36 to tie, right?
37.
So
Yeah.
it's 36 to tie, so he needs 37. If he's going to get to 37, it's going to be in the fourth quarter. And, if they're going to be up big, do you continue to play him? Realistically, for him to get 37, they're either going to be down or it's going to be a close game. And if it's a close game, he's gonna break the record. What do we do? It's like a say it's like a 5 point game, right? He breaks the record. He gets 37. 2 minutes left in the game. 5 point game. Like you stop the game and do the whole standing
But
ovation
you got it.
thing.
You got it though.
Yeah, I know, but then you gotta jump right back into the game flow, right? Whereas, against the Bucks, which I don't know if it's an ego thing, but hey, I'd want to do it in front of Giannis, who is supposedly the best player in the league right now, right? Remind him who's the king a little bit. Uh, I love Giannis too, by the way, but it's against your all-star captain, as the other all-star captain. So maybe he drops 30. Let's say he drops 30, right? Go in. It's early in the first quarter, still early in the game. breaks that record early in the game, everyone's gonna be hanging on, waiting for the suspense. To me, that's what I would rather have. He gets it done early in the first quarter, you know, no pressure in the game. He gets all the time that he needs. Everyone's gonna be going crazy. Obviously, dapping up his team. Both, the Bucks guys are gonna come as well. Historic, all-time historic NBA moment, right? Um, so that's what I would prefer, but I don't know. Who knows?
I'm gonna stick on the side of the script. So obviously he's gonna pass Kareem. Now I think it would be pretty cool to do it against the Bucks just because Kareem played for the Bucks. Right? A Buck and a Laker. So I think that would be pretty storybook if you ask me. For him to beat the record against the Bucks. And obviously the things that you said against Giannis, the two All-Star captains, against the best player in the world today, being Giannis Antetokounmpo. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like the story would be better just because it's OKC. Like,
Yeah, the
how
others.
many people are gonna watch that game
Oh, dude, everyone.
compared to? I mean,
Everyone's
everyone's gonna
watching.
watch it, but like, take away the scoring title. Lakers, OKC, Lakers, Bucks. If I had to
What
pick
if
one game to watch during the week, I'm gonna pick Lakers,
what if
Bucks.
it's like a game winner for 37? I
Oh
you want to
gosh,
you don't talk about
against
script?
against the Bucks.
No, 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 against the
Oh, the
Thunder.
Thunder.
Yeah. You want to talk about storybook? I'm talking like he has 34 points. Lakers down by 1 or down by 2. LeBron takes the 3, last second hits it for 37 and the game. You want to talk about the
Well,
script?
yeah.
That would be if they don't decide to go with the other script, the Buck script, that's the script that's gonna happen. It's gonna be a game-winning shot to clinch the record at home.
Okay.
Oh my
You know
goodness, are
what's
you
even a
kidding me?
bigger script? You know what's a bigger script though? Game-winning shot against the Bucks. Say he has a bad game against OKC, just doesn't have the shooting touch. Has the game-winning shot against the Bucks with a sky hook
Oh
to,
god. Okay, that's
to get the
that
scoring
would be
record.
way too obvious. Then the script is too
He
obvious.
just
That's too
does
obvious.
he does it on purpose.
I don't know if that's like honoring Kareem or like insulting Kareem. That
They said in LeBron interviewed Michael Wilbon today. He said that he doesn't practice the sky hook. So I really don't see
you just trying
why
to
he
throw
would do it
everyone
in the
off.
game if he did it. Yeah, yeah, maybe. I don't know, maybe,
Um
but
yeah, I don't know.
it's gonna
It's
happen. That's
happening
for
this
sure.
week. It's happening this
Yeah.
week because it's gonna happen at home. He's not gonna let it happen on the road.
No. Oh yeah.
LeBron
No.
is too much of a historical NBA buff. He is present in the moment. He's present in the media, social media. He knows what it means. He knows he has to break it in one of these two games. And I think the Lakers are gonna let him. Maybe it'll be like a Kobe last game thing. Like, take the ball, score as much as you want. But yeah, we'll have to see. You want to talk about obviously the GOAT conversation and what this is all gonna mean, Matt. Like I have still had Jordan slightly over LeBron for the longest time. Uh, because it is hard to argue the 6 rings, and I'm not gonna lie, the Last Dance kind of edged me a little bit more on Team Jordan just to see like what he was
That's
going
why he
through.
did the doc or
Yeah.
the. That's
No,
why
you're
he did
right.
it.
You're right. And it worked on me at least because I mean we didn't get to see the greatness of Michael Jordan live while he was playing, obviously. But to see kind of that stuff, see what those teams are going through at the time, and it's not like there wasn't talent when Michael Jordan was playing, right? Um, a lot of good teams, those Jazz teams, right? So there were some very talented teams, but just to see how Jordan played and what he demanded of his teammates, it's just as a Kobe fan, obviously, right? It's like reminds you a lot, obviously, of Kobe because Kobe took after Michael. So that I kind of had MJ as the GOAT, but man, he's gonna pass Kareem, and not is he only gonna pass Kareem, he's gonna go way past Kareem at the rate that he's going at. He might even crack top 3 in all-time assists. So
It's
like,
crazy.
I mean,
He's fourth right now.
you really just think about what those numbers really mean. He will be the all-time scoring leader in the history of the NBA to go along with the third most assists. I mean, like, I think he's when he's done, he might claim that title for Michael. Um, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm probably gonna have to give it to LeBron. When people ask me the GOAT of basketball, the longevity that he's just done it at is just so ridiculous to me. I don't know. I'm gonna have to go with LeBron being the GOAT after he passes MJ, and he's good at. I mean, even if you argue, I mean, fourth all time in assists, right? Like that's still
Insane to be on the
insane.
scoring, to be the all-time leading
First
scorer.
and
That
fourth,
means you're
he's
passing the ball all the time.
top 5 in assists. Nah, I think. I mean, it's not like he has no rings or 1 ring or 2 rings. He still has 4 rings. He still had to go up against. Okay, who's beating a KD, Steph, and Clay team all time, right?
All in their prime, by the
All
way.
in their prime. Like, who's beating that team? He had to play that team twice, right? In that run. It's like, I don't know who possibly could beat those teams. Like in NBA history, could the 96 Bulls beat that team? Maybe, but I still think, Golden State would be a little bit better. We can say, oh, it depends on which era we're playing in, blah, blah, blah. But come on, KD, Steph, and Clay all on the same team with that, Draymond, all that stuff. So it's not like LeBron's had easy championships and choked, right? Other than that Dallas one, that probably his most infamous choke where he just didn't show up in the playoffs. Other than that, I mean, Herculean efforts throughout the playoffs, right? Even the first one he lost to Golden State. No Kyrie, no Kevin Love. Matthew Dellavedova is his starting point guard. And he
And
took him to 6 games. So I'm not trying to make excuses for him not winning, but he had his healthy team. I think it would be a lot different. I don't know. He might be the GOAT. I've always been a Kobe guy. I was similar. I had to eventually just become a LeBron fan out of respect. And now, I mean, now
he's on your team
he's
now.
on my team. So obviously, favorite player playing right now. So, uh, yeah, I gotta give it to Bron. I think I can safely call it now that I would say he's the GOAT.
I think the thing that makes him so good, and it's like we should use the comparison more towards like Tom Brady, right? Tom Brady, obviously, Tom Brady has 7 rings. No one's really going to touch that. But look at how their careers turned out in terms of the longevity. Like Tom Brady, for the most part, even this year, right? 23 years of pure greatness for the most part. Just played outstanding football. LeBron is honestly playing even better than that in terms of his sport, right? Just has to play both ways, offense and defense in basketball. Brady's just got to play one side of the ball. But LeBron's doing it every single night, every other day, playing 45 minutes a game, putting up 27, 7, and 7 for his career. Like, he's still doing that today. And I don't think you're ever going to find someone in the history of sports to be this dominant at his age. So, the championships, to me, he won 4. Like, when do you ever knock someone for winning 4 championships? That's absurd to me. And look who he went up against, right? You said the Golden State Warriors. They built that team. They recruited KD to come help them because they couldn't beat LeBron. They couldn't do it. So they needed help, and they needed another all-time great in Kevin Durant to save them. So just how many things that LeBron has done. The numbers don't lie. So This is just another crowning achievement for him. I don't know if it's his greatest, but it's definitely top three for sure. So LeBron was already my GOAT. Nothing's really changing for me, but I just think for those people on the bubble, like how do you not put this man as your GOAT,
It's
being
just
the
like
all-time leading scorer?
it's just
It's
the
too hard.
greatest
And it's the
career of all
the
time.
assist record too. That's what makes it even more impressive. It's not like he just shooting a bunch of shots and yeah, he made all-time leading scorer, whip-de-doo. No, this man is a pass first guy. And it shows he's top five in assists of all time. You're never gonna find that ever. If someone ever breaks LeBron's record, I guarantee you he's not gonna be in the top 50 in assists. That's for sure. So I just think, what more can you ask for from a GOAT?
Yeah. And I just want to add this one more part in here. Like you want to talk about really the career, right, as a whole. LeBron's career, you could argue, started at 16 years old, right? Tom Brady, you know, I don't want to say like had it easier or anything. I'm not trying to make any excuses or knock down on Brady's career at all, but he came uh as a sixth round draft pick. First year in the league, no expectations. He's just Drew Bledsoe's backup coming to fill in. LeBron has been, he was literally nicknamed the chosen one.
The chosen.
At 16 years old, do you know how impossible it is to live up not only to that standard, but to, you know, get to that level and stay at that level for 20 years? Not a single scandal. I mean, he had to go through social media, right? MJ couldn't do, there's no way MJ could survive in this social media, like everything you do gets exposed era, right? No one knew what happened behind closed doors with MJ until like his career was over. With LeBron, he's had his whole everything is laid out. His life, his family, business decisions, everything. The decision, Miami, right? When we went to Miami, like everything is just played out in front of our eyes. And he's been like, he's probably the player you want to idol your NBA career off of. So just wanted to add that last part in there. Um, yeah, I can't believe it. I've been a Jordan guy for a while with the GOAT thing. I think it's time. I think it's time I admit that it's LeBron. I think LeBron is the GOAT now. King James. I'm sure Logan will be happy to hear about that one. Okay, well, why don't we let's take a break, do our quick segment here with Hawaii basketball, and we'll call it a pod and look forward to the Super Bowl weekend. So we'll be right back. Okay, Matt. Well, we got to talk about UH basketball as we usually do. So why don't you give us our breakdown of the past two games and what we can be looking forward to this week?
Yeah, so UH hit the road this past week, had two games, one against UC Davis, the other against Cal Poly. So the first game against UC Davis, uh, pretty ugly loss. We lost 75 to 63. Um, the really the story of this game to me was the fast start. So UH starts fast. We're up by 9 in the first half, and then UC Davis goes on an 18 to 3 run to close the half. And then from there, it's just like all hell broke loose. And I don't know what it is, but it just seems like when UH loses, they just allow these huge runs. And I can go back to the last game they lost, which was against Santa Barbara, that home game, a 14-0 run UCSB went on at home. Like that's and you lost by 1. So like they gotta avoid these long droughts. And over the course of the game, I mean, they UC Davis 64% shooting. Like that's just I don't know how you beat anybody if you allow them to shoot 64%. I mean, you allow two guys to score 20 plus. Pepper, the guard, had 29. Johnson had 22. I mean, it was literally a two-man team in that game. So where's the help defense? Where's the adjustments, Ganot? Two guys are beating you. Everybody else isn't doing anything. So you got to take those guys away to me. But you ain't going to beat anybody if you allow them to shoot 64% from the field. That's a no-brainer to me. But, luckily they got a nice, pretty easy opponent, you could say, against Cal Poly, one of the bottom feeders in the Big West. So Hawaii wins that one, 69-56. I wouldn't say it's a great game, like we're back on track, but it was nice from the standpoint where we were able to catch up ground in the standings because the other guys actually lost. So where we sit now is we actually are third in the conference, which is pretty good. I mean, obviously there's the tiebreakers and all, and everyone's bunched up, but as of now, we are third. But this game was about Kamaka Hepa, 29 points. He was the hot man. 11 of 12 from the free throw line, which is great to see. Finally, someone from UH is making their free throws. We don't really have that much, throughout the years of UH basketball. We've never been a good free throw shooting team. So 11 of 12 from one guy is pretty nice. But as a team, 8 for 19 from three, that'll work, obviously. But what's most important to me is they went 23 of 24 from the line as a team. Like, I mean, I don't think you're going to do that every game, but my goodness, you do something maybe 80%, 75% from the line. Like, that's outstanding. But hey, 23 of 24 from the line, that deserves some props. So obviously that was the difference in the game. You get a plus 10 rebound differential, using the size with De Silva, Morsek, Kamaka Hepa, dominating an inferior team. So good to see UH at least get back on track, you could call it. But this week, back at home, back at Stan Sheriff. Two, I guess you could say, tough games, but UC San Diego, they should win this game on Thursday. And then obviously the big one is Cal State Fullerton this Saturday. They are the defending Big West champs. They did beat us earlier this season in overtime. So I know UH is definitely going to want some revenge in that one. But more in the long term, right? With all these teams bunched up, like UCSB at the top, Cal State Fullerton sits at 5th, 6th, 7th place, and they're only 3 games back from Santa Barbara. So that tells me everybody is bunched up and every game counts at this point. So they got to win every single game from this point. Because we're 1.5 back from first. And the only thing that matters in the Big West season, in the regular season, is getting that first seed because that automatically grants you an NIT bid if you don't end up going to the NCAA tournament. So we still have an outside shot. We still play Santa Barbara down the road. It's going to be on the road, though. We still got Irvine one more time at home. Riverside's coming to Stan Sheriff. So, the guys in front of us, we control our own destiny, I feel like. But yeah, at this point, we can't be losing any games because you need to beat those guys on the bottom, starting with UC San Diego. So I'm hoping for a 2-0 weekend or a week this week, but we shall see. It is UH. They've been pretty up and down for the most part these past couple of weeks. So please, guys, just play one complete week of basketball for us.
All right.
But
Well, let's definitely hope for that. Who knows? Hope.
yeah.
Oof. All right. Well, we got through a lot. We talked about the GOATs, talked about Super Bowl previews. I think we're gonna call it a pod here. Got a good discussion in. So, Matt, as usual, why don't you take us home? Sports fact of the day.
All right. So kind of an interesting one here today, but we are recording on February 6th. So back in 1971, the American astronaut Alan Shepard was the first to hit a golf ball on the moon. So not Neil Armstrong stepping on the moon, but we got some golf on the moon being played in 1971. So that's That's a unique one. Obviously, with Super Bowl coming around, could have went there, but why not choose a fun run? So
Yeah,
that's
kind
our
of
sports
sound.
fact for the
It's
day.
pretty interesting.
It's still better than my Magic Johnson one, right?
God.
That was probably the best one I had so far, I will say.
Yeah, sure. Anyway, let's call it a pod there. Thanks for listening, everyone. We will be back next week. It'll be a fun one. Gonna have a lot to discuss. So be sure to tune in next week. And until then, thanks you guys for listening, and we will see you guys later.